Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom. It's your boy Shallow, man. We up in this thing. Shallow. So we're here with the next edition of this reading of the 48 Laws of Power. Make sure I got everything I need in place. Dictionary, pens, pencil, highlighter in the book. 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, a Joyce Elfer's book. And we're almost done, man. We're on Law 37. Law 37, man. We creeping. We creeping to Law 48. We're almost done. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. Striking imagery and grand symbolic gestures create the aura of power. Everyone responds to them. Stage spectacles for those around you, then full of arresting visuals and radiant symbols that heighten your presence. Dazzled by appearances, no one will notice what you are really doing. All right, let's see. Let's get into it. Observance of the law. In the early 1780s, word spread through Berlin of the strange and spectacular medical practice of a Dr. Weisletter. He performed his miracles in an enormous converted beer hall, outside which Berliners began to notice ever longer lines of people, the blind, the lame, anyone with an illness incurable by normal medicine. When it leaked out that the doctor worked by exposing the patients to the rays of the moon, he soon became dubbed the Moon Doctor of Berlin. Sometime in 1783, it was reported that Dr. Weisletter had cured a well-to-do woman of a terrible ailment. He suddenly became a celebrity. Previously, only the poorest Berliners had been seen waiting outside the beer hall in their rags. Now magnificent carriages were parked outside, and gentlemen in frock coats and ladies in enormous coffers, ladies with enormous coffers, lined the streets as sunset drew near. Even folk with the mildest of ailments came, out of the sheer curiosity. As they waited in line, the poorer clients would explain to the gentlemen and ladies that the doctor only practiced when the moon was in its crescent phase. Many would add that they themselves had already been exposed to the healing powers he called forth from the rays of the moon. Even those who felt cured kept coming back, drawn by his powerful experience. Inside the beer hall, a strange and stirring spectacle greeted the visitor. Packed into the entrance hall was a crowd of all classes of ethnic backgrounds, a veritable Tower of Babel. A veritable Tower of Babel. Through tall windows in the northern side of the hall, slivery moonlight poured in at odd angles. The doctor and his wife, who it seemed was also able to effect the cure, practiced on the second floor, which was reached by a stairway, and at the end of the hall. As the line edged closer to the stairs, the sick would hear shouts and cries from above. The word was spread of, perhaps, a blind gentleman suddenly able to see. Once upstairs, the line would fork into two directions, toward a northern room for the doctor and a southern one for his wife, who worked only on the ladies. Finally, after hours of anticipation and waiting in line, the gentleman patients would be led before the amazing doctor himself, an elderly man with a few stalks of wild gray hair and an air of nervous energy. He would take the patient, let us say a young boy, brought in by his father, uncover the afflicted body part, and lift the boy up to the window which faced the light of the moon. He would rub the site of the injury or illness, mumbling something the boy and his father sent the boy and his father on their way. Meanwhile, in the south-facing room, his wife would be doing the same with the ladies, which was odd, really, since the moon could not appear in the two places at once. It cannot have been visible, in other words, from both windows. He recognized that people do not always want words or rational explanations or demonstrations of the powers of science. They want an immediate appeal to their emotions. Give them that, and they will do the rest. Such as imagine they can be healed by the light reflecting from a rock 250,000 miles away. Dr. Weisletter had no need of pills or of lengthy lectures on the moon's powers or of any silly gadgetry to amplify its rays. He understood that the simpler the spectacle, the better. Just the moonlight pouring in from the side, the stairway leading to the heavens, and the rays of the moon, whether directly visible or not. Any added effects might have made it seem that the moon was not strong enough on its own, and the moon was strong enough. It was a magnet for fantasies, as it has been throughout history. Simply by associating himself with the image of the moon, the doctor gained power. Remember, your search for power depends on shortcuts. You must always circumvent people's suspicions, their perceived desires to resist your will. Images are an extremely effective shortcut. Images are an extremely effective shortcut. Bypassing the head, the seat of doubt and resistance, they aim straight for the heart. Overwhelming the eyes, they create powerful associations, bringing people together and stirring their emotions. With the white light of the moon in their eyes, your targets are blinded to the deceptions you practice. Observance of the law 2. In 1536, the future King Henry II of France took his first mistress, Diane de Poitiers. Diane was 37 at the time. Damn, she was old. Diane was 37 at the time. I wonder how old Henry was. Diane was 37 at the time and was the widow of the Grand Seneschal of Normandy. Let's see if that word is. Seneschal. 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 It's not in here. Henry, meanwhile, was a sprightly lad of 17. Shit. Got him a cougar. Henry was 17 and Diane was 37. Henry, meanwhile, was a sprightly lad of 17 who was just beginning to sow his wild oats. At first, their union seemed merely platonic, with Henry showing an intensely spiritual devotion to Diane. But it soon became clear that he loved her in every way, preferring her bed to that of his young wife, Catherine de Medicis. In 1547, King Francis died and Henry ascended to the throne. This new situation posed perils for Diane de Poitiers. She had just turned 48. And despite her notorious cold baths and rumored youth potions, she was beginning to show her age. Now that Henry was king, perhaps he would return to the queen's bed and do as other kings had done. Choose mistresses from the bevy of beauties who made the French court the envy of Europe. He was, after all, only 28. And cut a dashing figure. But Diane did not give up so easily. She would continue to enthrall her lover as she had enthralled him for the past 11 years. Diane's secret weapons were symbols and images to which she had always paid great attention. Early on in her relationship with Henry, she had created a motif of intertwining her initials with his. To symbolize their union, the idea worked like a charm. Henry put this insignia everywhere, on his royal robes, on monuments, on churches, on facets on the facade of the Louvre, then the Royal Palace in Paris. Diane's favorite colors were black and white, with which she wore exclusively, and wherever it was possible, the insignia appeared in these colors. Everyone recognized the symbol and its meaning. Soon after Henry took the throne, however, Diane went still further. She decided to identify herself with the Roman goddess Diana. Her namesake, Diana, was the god to identify herself with. This goddess would instantly call up those images in the court, giving her an air of respectability, symbolizing her chaste relationship with Henry. It would also set her apart from the adulterous liaisons of the royal mistress's past. To effect this association, Diane began by completely transforming her castle at Annette. She raised the building structure and in its place erected a magnificent Doric column. It was made in a white Normandy stone flecked with black cells. Silex. It's not in here. It's not in this one. Silex. Reproducing Diane's trademark color of black and white. The insignia of her and Henry's initials appeared on the columns, the doors, the windows, the carpet. Meanwhile, symbols of Diana, crescent moons, stags, and hounds adorned the gates and facade. Inside, enormous tapestries depicting episodes in the life of the goddess lay on the floor and hung on the walls. In the garden stood the chaseries, Diane Chaseries, which is now in the Louvre. I'll have to see that. And which had an uncanny resemblance to Diane de Porter's. Paintings and other depictions of Diana appeared in every corner of the castle. Annette overwhelmed Henry, who soon was trumpeting the image of Diane de Porter's as the Roman goddess. In 1548, when the couple appeared together in Lyons for a royal celebration, the townspeople welcomed them with a table vivant, with a table vivant. It's French. With a table vivant, depicting a scene of with Diana the Huntress. France's greatest poet of the period, Pierre de Ronsard, began to write verses in honor of Diana. Indeed, a kind of cult of Diana sprung up, all inspired by the king's mistress. It seemed to Henry that Diane had given herself a kind of divine aura, and as if he were destined to worship her for the rest of his life. And until his death in 1559, he did remain faithful to her, making her a duchess. Interpretation. Diane de Porter's, a woman from a modest bourgeois background, a modest bourgeois background, managed to captivate Henry for over 20 years. By the time he died, she was well into her 60s, yet his passion for her only increased with the years. She knew the king well. She knew the king well. That's key. That was key. She knew the king well. He was not an intellectual, but a lover of the outdoors. He particularly loved jousting tournaments with their bright pennants, brilliantly caparisoned. Compare. Capricious. It's not in here. Brilliantly comparisoned horses and brilliantly dressed women. Henry's love of visual splendor seemed childlike to Diane, and she played on this weakness of his at every opportunity. Most astute of all was Diane's appreciation of the goddess Diana. Here she took the game beyond physical imagery into the realm of the psychic symbol. It was quite a feat to transform a king's mistress into the emblem of power and purity, but she managed it. With imagery and the symbolism of Diana on her shoulders, she seemed the mythic force destined for greatness. You too can play with images like these, weaving visual clues into encompassing gestalt. 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 Not in here. I hate not finding words in the dictionary, man. But it's an old, man. It's an old dictionary. Right? All right, get up. The new Webster's Dictionary. This shit old. Can I have some water, please, Daddy? Can I have some water, please, Daddy? I don't hear it. Can I have some water, please, Daddy? Okay. You gotta talk. Open your mouth. Ah. Can I? Say, can I? Say, can I? Say it. Can I? Yeah, that's good enough. That's good. You too can play with images like these, weaving visual clues into the encompassing gestalt as Diane did with her colors and her insignia. Establish a trademark like these to set yourself apart. Give me my water. Pick a head. Pick a head. Establish a trademark like these to set yourself apart. Then take the game further. Hey, calm down, man, all right? All right. Find an image or symbol from the past that will neatly fit your situation and put it on your shoulders like a cape. It will make you seem larger than life. Because of the light it shines on the other stars, which make up a kind of court around it, because of the just and equal distribution of its rays to all alike, because of the good it brings to all places, producing life, joy, and action, because of the consistency from which it never varies, I chose the sun as the most magnificent. Louis XIV, the Sun King, from 1638 to 1715. Keys to power. Keys to power. Huh? Mm-hmm. DJ what? What DJ doing? Man, that's DJ B. You all right? Keys to power. Using words to plead your case is a risky business. Words are dangerous instruments and often go astray. The words people use to persuade us reverse nature. It also happens that words offend us, stirring up associations unintended by the speaker. The visual, on the other hand, shortcuts the... You see, Yadi? Now be quiet so I can finish reading. The visual, on the other hand, shortcuts the labyrinth of words. It strikes with an emotional power and immediacy that leave no gaps for reflection and right thoughts. Like music, it leaps right over rational, reasonable thoughts. Imagine the moon doctor trying to make a case for his medical practice, trying to convince the unconverted by telling them about the healing powers of the moon and about his own special connection to a distant object in the sky. Fortunately for him, he was able to create a compelling spectacle that made words unnecessary. The moment his patients entered the beer hall, the image of the moon spoke eloquently enough. Understand, words put you words put you on the defensive. Words put you on the defensive. Come here. Come here. What's wrong with you? Come here, boy, and stop all that whining. Okay. You ain't gotta do all that whining. Just sit your stuff. Sit. Dry your face. Take deep breaths. I don't want to hear it. Take a deep breath. Take your time. Take deep breaths. There's no need for you to whine. There's no need to put your big toe. Put your big ugly toe. Put that big dirty toe right there. All right? Now calm yourself. Come here. Just dry your eyes. Fix your face. And calm down. Calm down. I don't want to hear okay. I want you to do it. Look at me. Calm down. Stop poking them up. What's wrong? Word party not on? All right. Understand. Words put you on the defensive. If you have to explain yourself, your power is already in question. The image, on the other hand, imposes itself as a given. It discourages questions, creates forceful associations, resists unintended interpretations, communicates instantly, and forges bonds that transcend social differences. Words stir up arguments and divisions. Images bring people together. They are the quintessential instrument of power. The symbol has the same force, whether it is a visual, the statue of Diana, or a verbal description of something visual, the words, the Sun King. The symbolic object stands for something else, something abstract, such as the image, Diana, standing for chastity. The abstract concept, purity, patriotism, emotional and powerful. The symbol is a shortcut of expression containing dozens of meanings in one simple phrase or object. The symbol of the Sun King, as explained by Louis XIV, can be read in many layers, but the beauty of it is that the associations require no explanations, spoke immediately to his subjects, distinguished him from all other kings, and conjured up a kind of majesty that went far beyond the words themselves. The symbol contains untold power. The first step in using symbols and the first step in using symbols and images is to understand the primacy of sight among the senses. Before the Renaissance, it has been argued sight and other senses, taste, touch, and so on, operated on relatively equal plane. Since then, however, the visual has come to dominate the others and is the sense we most depend on and trust. As Greene said, the truth is generally seen, rarely heard. The truth is generally seen, rarely heard. When the Renaissance painter Fra Filippo Lippi was a captured slave among the Moors, he won his freedom by sketching a drawing of his master on a white wall with a piece of charcoal. When the owner saw the drawing, he instantly understood the power of a man who could make such images and let Fra Lippi go. The one image was far more powerful than an argument the artist could have made with words. Never neglect factors like color, for example, have enormous symbolic resonance. When the con artist Yellow Kid Will created a newsletter touting the phony stocks he was peddling, he called it the Red Letter Newsletter and had it printed and at considerable expense in red ink. The color created a sense of urgency, power, and good fortune. Will recognized details like these as keys to deception, as do modern advertisers and mass marketers. Will recognize details like these as keys to deception, as do modern advertisers and mass marketers. If you use gold in the title of anything you are trying to sell, for example, print it in gold. Since the eye predominates, people will respond more to the color than to the word. Shit. I know who used that. With that purple. The visual contains great emotional power. The Roman Emperor Constantine worshipped the sun as a god for most of his life. One day, though, he looked up to the sun and saw a cross superimposed on it. The vision of the cross over the sun proved to him the ascendancy of the new religion, and he converted not just himself, but the whole Roman Empire to Christianity soon thereafter. All the preaching and proselytizing in the world could not have not been as that will communicate. Hey, get out, my man, get out. Get out. Get out and be careful. All right. Find and associate yourself with the images and symbols that will communicate in this immediate way today, and you will have untold power. Most effective of all is a new combination, a fusion of images and symbols that have not been seen together before, but that through their association clearly demonstrates your new idea, message, religion. The creation of new images and symbols out of old ones in this way has a poetic effect. Viewers' associations run rampant, giving them a sense of participation. Visual images often appear in a sequence, and the order in which they appear creates a symbol. The first to appear, for instance, symbolizes power. The image at the center seems to have central importance. Near the end of World War II, orders came down from General Eisenhower that American troops were to lead the way into Paris after its liberation from the Nazis. The French general Charles de Gaulle, however, realized that this sequence would imply that the Americans now commanded the fate of France. Through much manipulation, de Gaulle made certain that he and the French Second Armory Division would appear in the head of the liberating force. The strategy worked. After he had successfully pulled off his stunt, the Allies started treating him as the new leader of the independent France. De Gaulle knew that the leader has to locate himself literally at the head of his troops. This visual association is crucial to the emotional response that he needs to elicit. Things change in the game of symbols. It is probably no longer possible to pose as the Sun King or to wrap the mantle of Diana around you. Yet, you can associate yourself with such symbols more indirectly. And of course, you can make your own your own mythology out of figures from more recent history. People who are comfortably dead, but still powerfully associative in the public eye. The in the public eye. The idea is to give yourself an aura, a stature that your normal banal appearance simply will not create. By herself, Diane de Porters had no such radiant powers. She was as human and ordinary as most of us. But the symbol elevated her above the human lot and made her seem divine. Using symbols also has a courtier-like effect, since they are often gentler than brutish words. Psychotherapist Dr. Milton H. Erickson always tried to find symbols and images that would communicate to the patient in ways that words could not. When dealing with a severely troubled patient, he would not question him directly, but would talk about something irrelevant, such as driving through the desert in Arizona. Was isolated. Say, Dr. Erickson would talk of a single ironwood tree. Connection with the tree as a symbol, the patient would open up more readily and to the doctor's probing. Use the power of symbols as a way to rally, animate, and unite your troops or team. During the rebellion against the French crown in 1648, those royal to the king disparaged the rebels by comparing them to the slingshots. In French, francs. That little boys used to frighten big boys. Carlo de Retz decided to turn this disparaging term into the rebel symbol. The uprising was now known, and the words became their rallying cry. Without it, the rebellion might well have petered out. Petered. Let's see what that means. Petered. 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 I think it means just went away. Petered. They ain't even got it in here. Got it. Without it, the rebellion might well have petered out. Always find a symbol to represent your cause. The more emotional associations, the better. The best way to use images and symbols is and larger than life. Appeal to their emotions and they will flock to your spectacle in hordes. The visual is the easiest route to their hearts. Image, the cross and the sun. Crucifixion and total rape necessary. Authority. The people are always impressed by the superficial appearance of things. The prince should, at fitting times of the year, keep the people occupied and distracted with festivities and spectacles. Niccolo Machiavelli, 1469 to 1527. Reversal. No power is made available by ignoring images and symbols. There is no possible reversal to this law. That was Law 37. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. Judgment. Striking imagery and grand symbolic gestures create an aura of power. Everyone responds to them. Stage spectacles for those around you. Then, full of arresting visuals and vibrant symbols that heighten your presence. Dazzled by appearances, no one will notice what you are really doing. It's Law 37. Next time, we're going to read Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. Think as you like, but behave like others. As in unorthodox ways. People will think that you only want attention and that you look down upon them. They will find a way to punish you for making them feel inferior. It is far safer to blend in and nurture the common touch. Share your originality only with tolerant friends, and those who are sure to appreciate your uniqueness. Well, we'll catch that one next time. So that's the Law 37 of the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, a Joyce Elford's book, man. So we're gonna come back probably later on, man. We'll come back later on. I'm trying to read 2 a day. 2 laws a day right now, so that way we can go ahead and finish it up because I'm ready to read Miss Sherazade Ali's book. I'm ready to read this one. The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. That's the next one on the list. But for YouTube, I'm gonna come back and read the Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman first. So we'll see. We'll see what's what. Nah, I'm gonna just read this one. I'll read this one first, and I'll come back on YouTube and read the other one. The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. I mean, the Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. They don't want to come outside. Yeah, I think this one gonna be good, man. I think this one gonna be a good one. But yeah, it's your boy Shiloh out, man. Thank y'all for listening with me, reading with me, chilling with me, rocking with me, and we're gonna keep on going, man. We're gonna keep trying to learn something and keep our mind growing and see what else is out there. Hey, Shiloh out, man. Till next time. We'll see y'all. Leave a comment, like the page, all that stuff, Shiloh out. Let me feel like